Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is, and I hope, whoops, Starlight's gonna get this a little bit taller here, I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is, and get out in nature. You never know what you're gonna find next. Like, where is Starlight? Where are you? What are you like? Where are you? I mean, this is not like a thumbnail picture with Starlight just placing herself. I'm inside of a tree. So yeah, Starlight is inside of a huge tree, and so Starlight is a nut, but the healthy kind, okay? Only healthy nuts. And anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you can also give my videos a thumbs up, and you could share my videos with your family, your friends. A beaver or a woodchuck. And also, not only you can share my videos with a beaver or woodchuck, you can also leave a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And you could share, oh yeah, you already did share. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm so excited about being in this tree. Is also, you can check out my playlist, and you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So a big, huge thank you to all of you who have been here watching my YouTube channel, who have subscribed, or leave me a thumbs up, or even leave me a comment, or even those of you who share my videos. So recently I have met a lot of new people recently out in this area where I am, and so it is interesting. On this journey has been mind-blowing. So Starlight is like Alice in the Wonderland down in the tunnel, but we're really in a tree. So Alice in the Wonderland was a great cartoon. I grew up watching that. And this is kind of about Alice in the Wonderland and about the Matrix, that as I say over and over again, and I'm going to keep on repeating it because it does take time to understand these things, is that we all been lied to. Can I say that again? Yes, say that again. We all been lied to. I have met several people, hundreds of people on this journey since I left my apartment and started this journey. As I met hundreds of people on this journey from New York all the way to Miami, Florida, and all the way to where I am right now. So, and I've talked to lots and lots of men and women on this journey, and talked to several people. I am not the only one that knows that this is a stimulation, this is a matrix, that we're in a stimulation. And I'll tell you what, you don't believe in me, I'll tell you what, start working on yourself. Start getting serious in your life for once, instead of just doing the 9 to 5 job and going home, really start getting serious with yourself and say, you know what, I want to find out who I am. And, you got to focus on this stuff. When you actually decide, hey, you know what, I want to find out what is really going on. Why is the world all messed up? When you start doing work, when you start getting serious, when you get tired of being tired and being tired, wondering why the world is so like upside down, inside out, twisted, backwards world, and this is not easy for people to comprehend. There's a lot of things in the Bible. It says that, God would have put more in the Bible, but people wouldn't even be able to comprehend it. So, and that is like the Matrix. I've met several people on this journey, and I just met a couple the other day, a couple nights ago, and they understand that we are in a stimulation. And there's people that find out about this, and I'm not here to encourage you to do these things. Is like Starlight did LSD long time ago, and so there are different drugs out there, but I am not at all encouraging you to do that. So, and I will repeat, I am not encouraging you to do that, but there's people that have took those drugs like Starlight did long time ago, and that actually helps you to open up and really understand the lies that we've been told, and that this is not, the reality in your life is not really what you think and what you've been told to believe. And that is what they've done, is there's people that know that this is a stimulation, and they don't care, is that they are using it as a way of deceiving people and getting your money and controlling people. So be aware of what is going on in the world. And this is not the time to go to sleep. Stay awake. Right now is the time to stay awake. Don't get distracted. This is not the time to get distracted. There's stuff cooking in the world. There's things that people know. There's something coming. And we got to prepare ourselves for that. Not to be in a fear mode. Absolutely not. But we need to be. I know this breeze is going to mess up the sound effects. So hang on. Ooh, it feels good. So you need to understand that. These people, businesses and all this, the people that understand that this is, a stimulation, a matrix, is that, there's people that have been studying, doctors have been studying their patients, there's a lot of beautiful people that have been studied. I have been studied my whole life, like under a microscope, being studied and watched and observed and all that stuff. Because there's people out there like myself and many other people out in the world that are chosen ones or light workers, or, it's the same thing. But God, it's their time right now to be doing what they were called to come out here to do. So this is what there's a whole bunch of people out here doing, is to waken people up and letting them know, hey, you've been lied to. Find out who you are. Find out. Work on yourself. Be serious. Don't get pulled in the matrix on the Hollywood shit. Don't get pulled in onto the sports and things that are going to distract you. Those, all these things are ways of distracting you. And even the news is a way of distracting you. They'll put news out there, something really horrible that happened, and that is something serious. And then they put something else on there to get your mind off of this was really serious, but they put your mind on something else. So then you're not focused on really what matters, and there's a lot of Hollywood stars that are out there, and they know that this is a stimulation. They know that they got deceived. They know, that they goofed up by signing those contracts, and being the Hollywood stars that they are today. And, that there's been people that are Hollywood stars that their lives are, they're no longer here, and I can't prove anything. There's a lot of theories out there, conspiracy theories out there, that this is how backwards and inside out this matrix is conspiracy theories. That's what they don't want you to believe in. Those are the things that you want to check out, is aliens, real. Nano, E.T. phone home, is, how come we've been talking about aliens and there's so many people with true stories? I've got my own stories, that I've dealt with, but it's coming, one of these days you're going to find out, because the truth is going to be revealed, and we're going to find out so much more in this reality, this 3D matrix reality. And you don't have to stay at the 3D matrix low frequency vibration, which is the fear frequency. We can actually rise to a higher frequency in the 5th dimension, the 5D, and that is where it's the love frequency. So you don't have to, if you're struggling in life, and it's a rat race out there, and they made the system to be set up a certain way so you could never make it. Like a person that is single, to go out and get a job and to afford everything. Somebody that, a lot of people, they could not actually be able to afford everything with what they're getting paid in the 9-to-5 job or something like that. They would be always scraping to make it unless they had their own business. Like when Starlight had her own business, I was making good money. I can't complain. But that is, God pulled me out of there because that's not my life purpose, and it was my time to do what I'm doing right now. And a lot of you don't understand what I'm doing, but that is okay. I'm just doing what the universe wants me to do. I'm not here to people please. And you got to find out who you are. And that is how you're going to find out. You know, like when people get serious, when they get tired of being tired, and when they start taking action in their life, that is when you're going to find out the truth. If you're just following the crowd and doing what everybody else is doing, that's why you're not going to find out really what the truth is, you know. And they've tried to, you know, they've tried to deceive so many people, and a lot of Hollywood stars, like I was saying, their lives ended because they were trying to put the truth out there. And there was some Hollywood stars that is no longer here anymore. They were actually serving two masters, and you can't do that. You cannot serve two masters. You either serve God or the devil, you know. You can't do both. You can't, like, you got to pick which side you're on. And when you're serious enough and you decide, you know what, God is my, you know, the creator, God, the high, you know, the universe, or whatever your name that you want to title is, that's the one I'm going to serve. Well, guess what? That means that you got to get busy. That means you got to start finding out who you are. That means that you got to start, you know, like facing your shadow sides and facing those demons that we all, you know, Starlight had some shit I had to clear up and get it out of my body, you know. So I am here because this is where I belong. In a tree, yeah, I belong in this tree. So you got to be wise out there, and just if they put something on the news, you know, I'll tell you what, just like COVID and stuff like that, beware. I'm telling you, things are going to be coming up sometime soon, and you don't know when it's going to come, but you need to be prepared. And don't let, you know, you got to let love guide you, not fear. If there's another pandemic that came up and they say, hey, you know, the first time is a test. That's what I said. The first time, I'm like, it was just a test to test who is gonna fall for, you know, hurrying up and going getting that injection, and who is gonna say, no, I am not gonna take that injection. Starlight, did you take the injection? Absolutely not. Did you know what was in the injection? I didn't either. You know, so I'm not going to stick stuff in my body that I don't know what it, even medications, you know, like you got to be careful. I had doctors that gave me freaked up medications, you know, very powerful medications, you know, because they made me think I needed it, but, you know, horrible side effects. So you have to make sure that if they have something coming on the news, you know, if there was going to be another pandemic like COVID, you know what? The first time they didn't really force it on people, but in a way they were trying to force it, they were trying to push it. That was just a test. So don't be surprised if another pandemic came out, that this time it will be forced upon you. Would you, now, if it was, and I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just saying, if there was another pandemic of some kind, another virus out there that they said, ooh, it's life-threatening, and they said, you are demanded, you are commanded to take this, you've got to take this, or what? Or we're gonna fine you, or we're gonna put you in jail. Are you, now I don't know who you are, I don't know who actually took the injections and who didn't, okay? So who didn't take the injection, would that actually make you go out and run and get it because they're gonna give you a fine? You got to realize that, you know, the government's here, but the government's corrupt. God might have put the government here, so then there's supposed to be order in this life, and so things can get sorted out and all that stuff, but it's a corrupt system. So you have a choice. Are you going to fear man or obey God? So if you're going to obey God, would God want you to go and run and, you know, should you be forced to take that injection? That's what you gotta ask yourself. Should you? Do you have to? We have a free will. And you know what? If there was another pandemic, and they said that, hey, there's this horrible virus out here, this time we're gonna make you take it, or we're gonna give you a fine, or we're gonna put you in jail. Guess what? Starlight's already saying it. Put me in jail. Hey, I get free rent, free food. You know, I can do it. I can actually witness to people. I can help people out when I'm in there. No big deal. You know, so you got to be strong when, things really do hit out there in society. And if it does, and when it does, because they're going to catch everybody when they're distracted and they're going out and doing this and doing that, and not working on themselves. And then bam, that is when it's going to hit, is when there's a lot going on. And then, you gotta wake up to the truth that we have been lied to. And you think the pandemic, the COVID, is the end of all? No, absolutely not. That was a test to see. Now, those of you that did take the injection the first time, did you learn something? What did you learn? You learned it was a lie. You learned that, you still got sick, right? A lot of you got sick. Some of you might have been in the hospital. You still got the COVID. So would you, they're still passing that injection around like candy out there, trying to get more people in. They're targeting the teenagers. They're targeting the little kids. Why? These are things that you need to ask yourself. Why are they using it when it wasn't working anyway? There's no proof that it was working. I had a lot of clients that they said, oh, well, they went and got the injection and they still got the virus. And then what they said is that, oh, it wasn't as bad as it would have been. Well, you can't prove that, can you? You really can't prove that. You got it anyway. So would you be that person out there that already took it before? Would you, if they said, hey, this injection here is way better than the injection you took before when you had to take, up to 6 jabs, to, clear yourself of COVID. It doesn't stop you from passing it around, right? It doesn't stop you from passing it to me, right? If you got the injection, can you pass it to me? Yeah. If you got COVID, if you caught COVID, if it was, that virus, you'd still be able to, I could get it off of you whether you get the injection or not. And that's why I had clients, and this is why I don't have my my cleaning business anymore, because most of my clients, every single one of them, called out when COVID happened. I thought my phone was going to ring off the hook. I thought, wow, I'm going to get a lot of phone calls. I was scared, nervous, and all that at the same time. I was like, oh, I'd be going in people's houses, but I was thinking, I'm going to get a lot of money for this. And it totally backfired on me, because I'm thinking germs, but I didn't know that people couldn't go to work anymore. I didn't know that the kids are going to have to go back home. So those things, I didn't know. Everybody's life's changed. But most of the clients, I was at my high peak in my business during that time before COVID. And during COVID, when people were finding out stuff before I even knew anything about it, bam, everybody called out and didn't want me at their house, because everything in their life, they were all afraid and scared. And I was at first, but I have to say my mentor got me through it. So, so you got to be wise. And there could be a time that they're going to put something out there, but of course it's going to be a stronger, virus than COVID, or they're going to make it sound like it's more powerful than COVID. So you really got to ask yourself, what would you do? Would you go out and say, hey, they got a better injection this time? It's, let love guide you, not fear. You got to, if you let fear control your life, then that's what happens. It's a mindset, is that when you're afraid, then all your nerve systems and all that stuff is like, now you're opening yourself up to those things to come in your life. And you got to protect yourself, like to not be around people, that could be carrying the COVID or the flu symptoms or whatever you want to call these things. So you got to wake up and understand that Starlight's not the only one out here talking about the Matrix, or even Alice in the Wonderland going down in a hole and what did she find, So you got to understand those cartoons get made for a reason. Those are out there to wake you up, just like the Matrix, the documentary. People will say, hey, that's just a movie. No, a lot of movies, they have the truth in it. It's helping people to know, hey, this is coming up. This is what you're going to be facing. So I really want you to understand is that If you really want to know the truth, start working on yourself. Start finding out who you are. Start, clearing out some stuff. We all have cobwebs in us, like our dark shadow sides or shadow side of us, things that we have to cleanse, things that we got to let go of, and people that we got to let go of. And when you start really getting serious and diving deep in your life and cleaning up, the things that you've done in your life, things that you feel guilty of, and forgiving yourself for all those things, and start doing something out in the world. Find out who you are and really go out and try to be a change that you want to see in the world, or become your greatest version. And I'll tell you what, when you start working on yourself and you start using your voice, you're going to be tested, you're going to be tried, you're going to be challenged. And just like in the Bible, it says, anybody, like, I'm not going to word it right, but when you say that you're going to have God, Jesus, to come in your heart and have God to be your Savior, or Jesus to be your Savior, you're a mark already. You're already marked. That means you're going to have hard times. Things are not going to be easy. You're gonna have people persecute you. You're gonna have, that's a part of this whole thing. There's people that say, hey, I love God, but I don't want all that stuff to happen. Well, you know what? Jesus went through an awful lot, right? Right, yeah. Jesus went through an awful lot to save us so that we didn't have to go in hell. But, so there's not a hell out there like they proclaim that there is that you got to realize that we need to come together and not to be divided. And that's exactly what they've done in this matrix, is to divide us. There's a lot of people out there I've talked to. I've talked to every color out there and talked to people, and they feel, alone. They don't feel worthy enough in life because of, their skin color and all that stuff. And I love you so much, is that we are all one. We are all family. And that is what they've been doing from the very beginning in time, is to divide us, to separate us. So we need to, stand up against those things. We need to be a voice out there. Shine your light. If you're out there doing a work out there and you're trying to help other people out, good for you. Thank you. The children need you. We all need you. We all need people to, let go of fear, let love guide you and not fear, and find a way that you can help out. There's so many places, so many ways, to help out in this planet. What are you good at? Find out, what are you good at? What have you dreamt about? What are the things that drive you in life? You got to really get into yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to work on myself. When you work on yourself, or when you even learn how to meditate, I'll tell you what, meditation will help you. When you learn how to meditate and clear out negative energies, negative lower vibrations out of your body, and you start learning how to open up your third eye, and you stop taking the fluoride. I'm serious. That fluoride is, messing up your third eye, so you cannot see what the truth is really like out here in the society. And this is an amazing journey. It's trying, it's challenging, but I'll tell you what, the truth will set you free. It will freaking piss you off at first, and you know what? And after that, you'll be happy again. Because what would you rather do? Is to live your life a whole lie and never know the truth, or to stretch yourself and work on yourself and say, you know what? I am gonna find out who I am. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna search my name. I'm gonna look up my sign, find out why I'm here. And I'm gonna step up to the plate. I am gonna make a change. I'm gonna be that change. And it does. It starts with me, and it starts with you. And we all need to come together. We need to stop putting our, put your differences aside. Nobody's here perfect. So we need to stop doing a point and game. I'm here as a teacher to help you to focus on those things so you can work on those things. I am not here to judge you. I'm here to help you and guide you so you can understand the things that we need to work on. Those things need to get cleared up. In the Bible, there's a lot of, God doesn't want you to be lying. If you're lying to your children, lying to yourself, and lying to others, that is something you got to let go of. You got to let go of that. Lying just leads to another lie, and that's exactly what we've lived this whole life, is one lie to another. People actually catch shit going on, and then they have a lie to back it up every freaking time. They got it all planned out. They've had this planned out before you even got here. So anyway, I love you so much, and be that change that you want to see in the world and become your greatest version. Work on yourself by, really getting serious and saying, you know what, I've been wasting my life. I've been wasting time. Time is ticking. I'm telling you, if something on the news comes on there of some pandemic and they said, hey, this time we're going to force you, you got to take that shot. It's up to you whether you take it or not. You got a free will. Are you going to let them bully you your whole life, And that is what, I am not. I will not take any injection, that they claim that this one is going to work for the next pandemic. Put me in jail. I'll witness to people. There's stories in the Bible, that I can be a witness to people. I can help people out in there. If that's the way God has it, then that's the way it is. So be it. So, yes, that is the kind of attitude that we need out there. You know what? It's for the future and the kids, to have a better, brighter, life. Are you going to be one that stands by and didn't do anything and just twiddling your thumbs? Or are you going to jump in and be a part of this family here? Because it's, we need to connect with other like-minded people, find out who your soul tribe is, and, nobody's perfect. Starlight's not perfect. I got so many things I got to work on. I got things that I got to heal. I have been in a cult church, and I've been under hard preaching. So if you think that Starlight sounds a little hard and all that, that is something because I need to get healed from. So I apologize for any hard words and all that stuff, but that is something I realized today, is that something I have to face. That is something I am dealing with right now, and that's something that the universe, God, actually revealed in my life right now that I have to work on. So if I offended you or, hurt your feelings, it's not me. It's an old version of me. I have to let that old version go, an old program that I've been programmed to believe and think is the way to be. So I love you so much. This is Starlight, and you could give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And you can also share my videos with your family, your friends. Let's see, a turtle and a fish. Plus, you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. Please take this message very seriously. Let love guide you, not fear. If something, when shit hits the fan on the news, you know what? Be prepared for anything in this society, in this 3D matrix, because it's going to be fear, and they're going to put fear out there to try to scare you. I don't want you to be afraid. Let love guide you, not fear. Be ready for anything on this planet, in this world, with the news and all that stuff. So anyway, I love you so much. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.